أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم اجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So quickly reviewing what we discussed last week, in the four main concepts that we opened, we were talking about recognizing via scriptures, which what we meant was, or again, that was explained in Kitab al-Mikyal, was what are the information, what are the resources that we have in the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt, in Quran, in the words of Ahlul Bayt, to help us know Imam Mahdi better and more. So in that, we saw a table retrieved from Kitab Muntakhab al-Athar, which showed, let me quickly, this was the table. And then we said there are numerous stories recorded by our earliest scholars. I want to emphasize on that. That will help us today as well. The Kitab Kamaluddin, Kafi, Sheikh Qutaybat, Sheikh Tusi, these three main sources of discussions about Imam Mahdi, they were so close to the time of Imam alayhi salam. And that's really significant and important. I gave a brief timeline, right? Kitab al-Kafi was written in the time of Ghaybat al-Sughra, and the author passed away the last year of Ghaybat al-Sughra. Beside the fact how scholar he was, how the access he had. So that's a discussion for the history of hadith. But I just wanted to remind ourselves about that fact because we will talk about that as well today. So last week, after that, we talked about the story of Sa'ad ibn Abdullah, as Faisal asked the question about before we get started. And we talked about Ahmad ibn Ishaq, who was the representative of Imam in what city? Ahsan, in Qum. And Sa'ad, who is one of our greatest scholars, and again, I mentioned it, I not personally, but really, really like him because of the important reports that he has recorded, and it has reached us. This is important that from the time of Imam Hassan al-Askari, we have like few books that they, in their originality, we have them, we have access to them, which one of them is Al-Faragh wal-Milal by Sa'ad. Anyway, let's move on. So in that story, we mentioned how Sa'ad went with Ahmad, and they went and they saw the Imam Askari, and Imam Askari brought his son, Imam Mahdi, and showed them Imam Mahdi. So that's important. Again, that's we have numerous reports of, and they are usually categorized in the sections of these books as Babun Fiman Ra'ahu, things like that. A chapter dedicated to the reports of people who have met the Imam when before his Ghaybat al-Sughra, like mostly in the time that Imam Askari was alive. And there are beautiful stories. I really encourage everyone, go read those stories. Again, because first of all, they are authentic, and the contents are interesting. Like a person from India, a person from Ahwaz, a person from, and all of these, these people, they try to go find Imam Askari, ask about who is after you, and Imam showed them, somehow showed them, and even as the story we're gonna read, and we read last week as well, in the story of Sa'ad ibn Abdullah, why Imam Askari didn't answer himself. There's a reason. he pointed out them to a little kid in our world, and our world, 3-4-year-old son sitting. And imagine, I think we should put these in the context. One of our maraja, the greatest maraja, goes, for example, visit an imam and ask a question. Like, I have 40 questions. Okay, that was the context. I gathered, compiled 40 questions I want to ask imam. Imam said, okay, you know what? That little kid that is walking, for example, ask him your questions. How memorable will be that scene? Not only, okay, imam after me is my son, Mahdi or Muhammad, right? No, I show you he is your hujjah of God. Ask him your question. You are the scholar of you came to visit me, ask your question from this young son that you think that he's young, for example. Okay, with that, let's move on. I think we agreed to go a little organized in this way. We will open up with questions or discussions anyone has, and then we go over the content. Then we will dedicate some time for more discussions and questions. And again, meanwhile, if there is something that you want to ask, sure, ask, and we can talk about them. So in those narrations that is mentioned, they are mentioned in Kitab al-Mikyal. There's another one by who? By Uthman ibn Sa'id. Who is Uthman ibn Sa'id? Yes. Uthman ibn Sa'id, basically the first. Sometimes it's referred to him as Amri. But anyway, he says, I was in the...
could you that your voice cut off?
Oh, sorry. Online. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes. Could you repeat the last thing you said? Your voice was cutting off. Thank you.
I said the next... Oh, I think Rayyan ibn Salt we didn't read, right? And by the way, that's kind of bad. Rayyan ibn Salt. Salt with salt, not salt, right? I checked. That's how they recorded, but we should come up with a solution. Anyway, where he's buried, those that they visited Imam Reza should know, right? Ibn Salt, he was the companions of Imam Reza, and he's buried in that area in Khorasan. Anyway, he asks Imam Reza alayhi salam. You see the, and by the way, you see my screen, right, Abdullah? Others? Okay, good. So I asked Imam Reza alayhi salam, are you Sahibul Amr, master of affairs? That question itself shows that the concept was known. But even some of the scholars, they may have ambiguity or question who that person is. So they would come to different imams and ask, are you Sahibul Amr? So Imam Reza alayhi salam said, I am Sahibul Amr, but the one that you're asking about, which I know, sorry, is not me. And Imam gives us something interesting that might be both interesting and raise questions. So let's read. And how can I be that person while you can see that I am physically weak, meaning that I'm aged, I'm old now, whereas Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is the one who at the time of his appearance will be senior in age, but have the appearance of the youth. His body shall be so strong that if he catches hold of the biggest tree of the earth, he shall be able to uproot it. So, and the hadith continues. This is a famous hadith. Beside the fact that Imam is giving some of the characteristics of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, that he will, when he comes, he will be old in age, but youth in face. And in a very good physical shape. Sometimes we may ask, okay, what is the value of this question? What is the value of this information? Any thought, like what I really want to hear before I say what I want to say, I want to see how do you see this hadith? And B, please open, frank, blunt. We want to have discussion, and I really learn and enjoy from the comments that you provide. Like if you were the one who asked Imam Reza this hadith, that Imam Reza, are you the Sahib al-Am? And Imam said, how can I be? I am so old. Mahdi is very strong. He can uproot the biggest trees if he, it continues, right? Shouts between the mountains, their stones will roll down. The staff of Prophet Musa and the seal ring of Prophet Suleiman are with him. He is my fourth descendant. What is the value of this information?
Yes, it gives us like more insight as to like when to.
Okay. Oh, their chat. Faisal? Yeah. Oh, that's what you want to say? That's a question people have at the time of. Very good. Very good point. That's a question people have at the time of his appearance and deny him for the same fact. The same fact that what? That you are old or you are young. He looks young.
I was also thinking that this is like going along the lines of the mom's talking to the people by the limits or the capacity of their intellect.
Yeah.
It could be that the mom is showing him that he'll come not like Superman, like a superhero wearing opening up his skin and stuff like that, but he'll have some like extraordinary power from Allah that he'll be able to do this and this.
Yes.
And to show him that the mom is strong, he gives an example like that.
Maybe not the audience here in this session, but in general, I don't know. I feel like if you go to general Shia public and you say, how do you imagine paint Imam Mahdi in your mind? Probably a very old, like 1,000-year-old, like barely can walk, sitting on his sajada all day long is, for example, having tasbih in his hand and doing all. You see, isn't that the case? Like we usually maybe think of Imam Mahdi like that. Hold on to that. Let me give a story I heard from one of my teachers. He was saying this. We had discussion about this hadith, and he said, okay, let me tell you one story that happened to me. I was in cab, taxi, and then I was talking with the driver. So driver was give me a word for Dashmashdi, like I don't know. Like, I don't want to stir you up, but what is it? People that no, I don't know.
Exaggerate?
Like, bro.
Like, yeah, they're bro, yo, that type of mentality. And they were I was talking to him, and I said, oh, you know how Imam Mahdi is? He's very strong, he's powerful, he is standing and doing the. He said, really? Yo, is that the case? I love this guy. I thought he's like an old man who barely walks, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, we have, Imam Reza explains Imam Mahdi that he is physically very strong. How can he be the ruler of the world and he can barely walk or talk or just needs help to do his daily things? No, he's this and that guy was like uplifted. And so the point is, there are values, and as you said, some audience, they need to hear that. So we have to have that in mind, that first of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the miracles is he preserve Imam, and also he will not be aged from a physical perspective. So, but let's move. And the Imams, we have the similar hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq also was, this is one of the Jeopardy's question. Who is the oldest Imam? Everyone says Imam Sadiq because his title was Shaykh al-Anbiya. Wrong. Imam Mahdi, right? Anyway, so let's move on.
So, why do the companions, especially like the close companions of the Imam, come and ask the Imam, are you the rightful, or are you the master of the affairs of the when they know about the signs of the appearance of the Imam?
So, as you know, in the again, the history of hadith, these will be discussed. It was not that all the ahadith were readily available or taught to everyone. Like, let's give an example. In 2023, internet world, Google world, ChatGPT world, how many of you have heard this hadith before? Be honest, raise your hand here. I'm not picking on someone. I just want to us face the realities, right? Books were available. Sheikh were reciting, oh, read. All these hadiths were available. We barely have heard of them. But yeah, we have heard of the concept of Mahdawiya, Sahib al-Am. So I would say actually multiple it like 10 times, 100 times more. That was the case of Shias in the time of the other Imams, in nutshell. So we can discuss in more details, but it also gives us a description. Every once in a while, someone, yes, that's a very, very, very important point. And I briefly touched upon that last week when I was going over the table. It gives us a description. I had this argument with non-Muslim Baha'is that they deny the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. I said, okay, look, if you are referring to the ahadith to show that Mahdi is the concept and he is who he is, we have many ahadith that says he will be old of age. This guy that you are claiming that is Mahdi, everyone knows when he was born. He was 28 years old. How come to said no, they said he will be young. Said yes, but young in appearance, but old in age. How come you neglect the first part of the hadith? So these are also description, and that's the title, recognizing via scriptures. These are the description, the signs, the characteristics that they are unique. His name is Muhammad. His father name is Hassan. He will be reappearing from Mecca. This and that, all these details, which so far none of the so-called Mahdis that they claim, they do not have these characteristics. So that's another value in these, and that's why we have it under, or Sahib al-Mikyal, we should keep referring to him, had them under that main category. So let's move on. The next hadith, which relates to one of the earlier discussions we had, is from Uthman ibn Sa'id, the first ambassador of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. He says, I was in presence of Imam Askari. So Uthman ibn Sa'id has a very beautiful story. He was in the household of Imam Askari and Imam Hadi. Someone asked him about the hadith that we read about, that man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliyah. So I asked him, again to your point, Osman ibn Sa'id also asked the question, who is that person, O Imam Askari? So Imam referred to him, to my son. The reason it's spelled as MHMD, as you know, there is another discussion. Early time, they wouldn't name the Imam by his name, Muhammad. So, and whoever dies not knowing him will die a death of Jahiliyyah, pagan death, right? So, with that, again, this is the hadith that is captured where? In Kitab Kamaluddin by Sheikh al-Saduq. Let's move on to the next title, part 2 of Kitab Mikyal, via miracles. So we have, inshallah, I have captured a quote from Sahib Mikyal, the author of the book, when he talks about the miracles. You may think, oh, miracles were for prophets. Prophet Moses did that. Prophet Jesus revived the dead. We have countless miracles from Imam Mahdi alayhi salam during the time of his childhood, per se, early age, and later on all the way till nowadays, which we want to talk about. So one of them, of course, was the Ahmad ibn Ishaq story. As you remember, the details Imam gave before they go to see him. The other one, there are many that are mentioned in the Kitab al-Mikyal. Again, I encourage everyone to go and read in more details. There are some of them during the time of when Imam Askari passed away. There's a beautiful story how they wanted to pray on his body and Imam appeared, put Ja'far away. The details of that story, there are many miraculous events that happened during that scene, like the burial of Imam Askari alayhi salam. There is one story that I sent a question in the group and asked everyone to think about, right? This is a long story. Actually, in the Mikyal, it is brought in another section, but for some reason we mentioned it here. And again, as I said, we go by this book as a pamphlet overview of Kitab al-Mikyal, so we mentioned it here. But I gave the reference. This page number is from the English version that I have shared with everyone. So someone named Kamil ibn Ibrahim Madani, he has the story that he says, I went to go to Samarra and to see Imam Askari alayhi salam and ask him my question. And my question was, what was my question? My question was, is this the case that only people that they are same as us in faith will go to paradise? Basically, is it the case that only Shias, they go to paradise in the heaven? Basically, in other words, the salvation is only for Shias who they have faith in Allah, in Prophet, Amir al-Mu'minin and the Imams, and others are, they don't have any chance, they don't have any hope to go to paradise, which that's a very important question, has been subject of many discussions with the Imams, between the companions of the Imams and the Imams alayhimus salam. We can talk about that more than 10-20 sessions, right? How that concept should be understood and discussed. But we don't have time, and this is not the place for that, but I just mentioned. So that was the question, that is that the case that only Shias, they go to paradise? Before we read this story, because I asked the question and some people say, oh, you asked us the question, but you never gave us a chance to talk about. I said, okay, last week we didn't have, we couldn't read this story. So what are your thoughts before we go to the story? No? Who said no? Okay. Not only, okay. From what perspective? I want to hear that. Not, don't look at him, look straight to me. Okay.
Like the people like for example, why would they not go to heaven? They didn't have Islam.
People who defend that idea, they said they were Shia also. وَمِنْ شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِنَّ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ. I don't want to argue here. As I said, this topic. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Yes, Mushahan.
Like, oh, because they were Shia, they won't go to heaven. They just don't know. Maybe they were like the best person in the world, but they just didn't have the knowledge that we have.
Very good. Yes. So they did a lot of people, they don't have the knowledge that we have and the access to that knowledge. So, okay. So she said, I think we should go back to the microphone system. She said, in nutshell, that cannot be the case because a lot of people, they don't have the opportunities that we had, access to knowledge, know what we know. Yes, maybe if they knew of what we know, they also be Shia and practicing and all, right? No, I agree with her because not the knowledge that we do have, right? Your neighbor, your Christian neighbors knows about. That's, they may have some misinformation, like misconcepts, right? Rather than the accurate okay, so what is the point of this ayah? And Brother Mahdi, if you want to speak up, speak. Like, open your microphone and talk if you want to share your thought.
I do, but I think there are other people in front of me.
Oh, there is no line. But no one is in front of you. I think you're
So
like,
I was raising my hand, and I was about to talk about the same ayah that Brother Mahdi said. إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين until the end of the ayah. So Mahdi, please say your opinion, and I'll comment if you missed something.
so you are actually using this ayah to say the answer is no, Jafar?
Yeah.
So you use this ayah to say the answer is no, others have chance also? Okay. This is funny that this ayah actually is used other way around, but that's fine. We want to hear the comments. Yes, Abu Mahdi, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaykum assalam.
First, I think we should think about or discuss what is the meaning of Jannat Behesht, because then that might give us an answer. Like, there's a very famous hadith, maybe people have heard it in different contexts, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ana Madinatul ilm wa Aliyun babaha." There is a complete version of that says, "Ana Madinatul ilm wa hiya al jannatu wa Aliyun babaha." So, what is the definition of Jannah and Behesht or paradise, whatever word you want to use? That's one thing I think we should think about, at least when we want to answer this question. Second, there's another hadith or history sort of that people were in the house of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and then they asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, please pray for us that we end up getting to Jannah, to Behesht. And then Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, hey, you are in Behesht as long as you have our walaya. So I think the meaning of Behesht is not what maybe the common people think it. It's like it's gardens with fruit. Maybe there's a level of it that includes that. So what the real meaning of Behesht is the walaya of Eminence, and ultimately Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. He says, "Ana madinatul ilm wa hiya al jannatu." So that's the meaning of Behesht in the Jannah in his own words. But to answer those who said, hey, whoever is, if someone is not a Shia, can end up going to Jannah. Yes, there's another hadith from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says there are 8 doors to heaven, and the 8th door are for those who does not have any bughd, any negative feelings towards us. That's of course very different who have hope toward the zalimin or ma'luni la'natullah alayhim ajma'in. But so there's an 8th door, whereas probably there's an 8th level of it, who for people end up going there who do not have anything negative toward ajma'in. And again, back to the first hadith, that is the meaning of Behesht or Jannah. That is their walaya. So yes, other people can end up going there. And then there's another hadith that says, we've been asked, in all these questions we talk about, I think the majority of them, or maybe all of them, been asked before. So they said, okay, how about other people who were never given a chance, or were never had this opportunity to talk or choose between us? And they said, okay, after they die, people may think, oh, this is bizarre. This is after they die, they are being presented by our walaya. If they accepted it, they end up going to Jannah. If they don't, they won't. So yes, in a nutshell, maybe you can see only who are believing in them, but yes, there's an 8th door who people end up going there who do not have anything negative towards them. So that's I think that we need to discuss more, but that's my answer, maybe short in 4 hadith.
very good. Very good. Thank you so much, Dr. Malakpur. I appreciate it. As I said, this is a very broad and deep and interesting conversation, and you will be surprised how many different ways people answered and how sometimes it contradicts. Anyway, but yes, that hadith that you mentioned, which is in the Kitab al-Khisal, Babu 8, because he categorized numerically, and the number 8, it talks about the 8 doors, which, as you said, also I agree, it would be like levels, and that confirmed by other hadiths. They will not, in nutshell again, the awliyaullah, the people that they have good faith and good deed, these two together. آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. They are awliyaullah. They are لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. They are in unique positions. In a hadith, it says يساكنون منازل الأبرار. They will be next to prophets and the imams and other prophets. There are other levels in paradise, where we see that in Quran, in Surah Al-Rahman, وَمِن دُونِهِمَا جَنَّتان. Imam says jannatun duna jannah. Those are lower levels. Those levels are still jannah, but imagine a big house, the shed is still in that house. It's better than hell, right? But they give you a furnished shed, right? Painted shed, that they can go and sit and enjoy, not being in hellfire, but they will not be in the penthouse level. Anyway, they don't have access to pool and all those cool things. Okay, that's good. Let's see how Imam Mahdi alayhi salam answered that question. But before that, again, remember that was in the context of miracles. Kamel said, when I entered, I wanted to ask Imam Askari a question. But before that, I saw something that brought a question even about his imamah. I saw that Imam is wearing a very nice white, shiny cloth, very soft, fabric. I was like, these imams, they tell us not to be attached to the worldly matters. And now you see the imam is wearing a very nice. I was talking in myself, right? With myself. That was in my brain. Imam started and said, Ibrahim Kamel, look. So he extended under his sleeve and showed him a harsh wool cloth. I said, Hada lillah wa hada linnas. I have that for the sake of God to remind myself not be attached to the worldly matters. But as a mu'min, as a Muslim, I should look good. I should dress properly, not just like Sufis and have suf, which is wool, on me and look ugly and stinky and all. No, that's not what Allah asked for me. And by the way, you had a question that you came here and you forgot about that. So I tell you, and then at that moment, there was a breeze came, and then there was a curtain. So it moved away and I saw a young boy, 4-year-old, walked in and he replied to me, to my question. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, in this context, he gives a criteria, which is really important to the question of, are Shias the only one who go to paradise? Imam said, if that was the case, the residents of paradise will be low in numbers. And that's not cool. That is not the mercy of God that we know. Allah said in Quran, I created them for rahmah. And that's a criteria. Remember this. Imam says, if that was the case, paradise would be very, very, very low in numbers. Because imagine, it's about iman and amal saleh, faith and good deed. Good luck finding people meeting that criteria. Will be like 2, 3, 10 people sitting in empty paradise. So Imam says that's not acceptable. This is not the Allah that we know. Yes. The true Islam, which includes wilayah, like the Islam that Prophet announced, Quran announced on the day of Ghadir, the complete Islam.
Those are the people that teach the penthouse level?
Yes, with the amal saleh, with the good deeds. So, al-ayadhu billah, the drinking Shia, so-called, does he have a chance to go to the penthouse? No. That's another category, murja'una li-amrillah, khalatu amalan saliha wa akhara sayyi'a. The Imam said they have mixed. So they are not technically on the right path. The right path is iman and amal salih. And a non-Shia who doesn't believe in Ahlul Bayt, he does all these good deeds. He also doesn't have the chance to the penthouse because the faith has problem. You don't accept the prophet of Allah. You don't accept the imam from Allah. So you don't meet that criteria. And as I said, this is the topic of my interest. And I can talk like sessions, but inshallah, I hope maybe if we, after these, we talk about the foundation of Shia worldview. In that topic, in details, we talk about this. So, and finally, Imam, wouldn't it apply that Shaitan won the bet?
It was in the context of having been.
Yeah. So Allah says, I will fill up the paradise. Don't worry about it, Shaitan. The eternal hellfire, as Brother Mahdi also mentioned, is for people that they have active animosity and hatred towards awliyaullah in general, towards awliyaullah, either prophets, imams, or the awliyaullah. Like they hate Salman because of his love to Amir al-Mu'minin. That also is maybe the answer was regarding Muhib versus Shia. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's a good point. But let's move on. That's also, as I said, that's a key. Imam says in that mudhnib, the sinner of great sins, in the time he's doing that, he's not mu'min, he's Muslim. The spirit of Iman departed from him. So next one is, I think with that we will conclude. There are other miracles that, again, I refer you to the book of Mikyal, and Ayatollah Isfahani at the end. Also, he has something that we will read, inshallah. So next one is from Muhammad ibn Shadhan.
So the Imam Mahdi only answered saying that.
He answered, and Imam, and then he said the curtain goes back because of the wind stopped, and Imam said, okay, why you are still here? Didn't you get your answer? Basically, you are dismissed. And that was why, because of the conditions of taqiyya. You can't just come, sit, breakfast, Zoom meeting. This is the Samirra, and we are under surveillance. You came, I knew your request, and that was fulfilled. First of all, I gave you a miracle of ilm al-ghaib. I knew what you were thinking about me wearing these clothes. I gave you the answer. And also I showed you my representative, my son, and he showed you his knowledge of what's going on in your mind. He answered that. So you're done. So that's how that story concludes, which is narrated in the Kitab Najm al-Thaqib. So next one is a story by Muhammad ibn Shadhan. We have another person, Fadl ibn Shadhan, which again, they were all from Nayshabur. So with that, actually, let someone else read it. I have been talking too much, right? Anyone online is interested reading this hadith number 3?
Sure, I can volunteer.
Yes. And again, when I give number, I said number 3, that's in the Kitab of Mikyal, if you wanted to find it in the book. Yes, go ahead, please.
Muhammad ibn Shadhan narrated in Nayshabur, an amount of 480 dirhams collected with me from the money that was supposed to be paid to his Eminence, Qa'im. So I did not like sending it without rounding off the amount to 500. Therefore, I added 20 dirhams of my own and sent 500 dirhams to Muhammad ibn Ja'far. But I did not mention that 20 dirhams were from my side. Thus, Muhammad ibn Ja'far received acknowledgement from the holy hidden Imam, alayhi salam, and that he sent to me in turn. It was written on the receipt, received 500 dirhams, of which 20 were your own, narrated in Noble al-Kafi as well.
So this story, which is really interesting, as I said, Sheikh al-Saduq used to travel a lot to obtain a hadith. One of the important travels that he had was where? To Nayshabur. So he said, in Nayshabur I met and received this hadith. That's why narrated in Nayshabur, it has a like intentional meaning. And also similarly, Al-Kafi, Sheikh Kulaini narrates similar story that was the case. So that's funny, right? So I had 480 I wanted to send to Imam. I said, let me just put $20 on top, make it 500 even, and send it to Imam to be cool and easy for calculation and accounting purposes. And the receipt came back. Thank you for your 480 and $20 that you added. Dollars, dirham. And it was received. And may Allah bless you. So in these contexts, we have a lot of stories. And again, remember, these are important from the perspective of different stories, different reports from different people, different cities. Sheikh Saduq says, I went to the Ishabur, I heard from that person this. Khulaini said, in Qom, I met with Sa'ad ibn Abdullah, he gave me this. So that's give us basically the idea of miracles that have been seen from Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. There's a note, I think it's better we hear it from Sahib Mikyal himself. So this is from an excerpt from the book. Abdullah, you want to volunteer yourself, or you want to volunteer someone else?
Yeah, sure. No, I got it.
Okay.
Right. I say, and among the clear miracles of His Eminence is the fulfillment of the requests of the people when they write it, ariza, and throw it in a well of running water. And
Arida, basically.
Arida.
Yes.
And throw it in a well or running water, and this phenomenon is witnessed all the time, and it is proven effective, which we shall discuss in more detail in the last portion of the book. Dear readers, if you like, you can read about the miracles of His Eminence in books compiled on the topic, like what?
Ikmaluddin
of Sheikh Saduq,
Khara'ij
of Sheikh Sa'id ibn
Hibatullah.
Haybatullah. I can't read Arabic into English.
Bihar al-Anwar.
Bihar al-Anwar of the perfect scholar, the late Muhammad Baqir Majlisi, and Najm al-Thaqib of Mirza Hussein Nouri.
Mirza Hussein Nouri, rahmatullah alayh, which this book was instructed by Mirza Shirazi to be written, rahmatullah alayh, the great scholar in Samarra, which there are a lot to study about him. Sometimes he's known as Mirza Tobacco. You know about the story. So that's him, Mirza Shirazi. He was not the smoker, rather he banned that hadith. So that's why he's called Mirza Tobacco. And he's the one who took the Hawza to Samarra, the city of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And that's yeah. Do you personally believe in writing an ariza? Can we just put it in running water? Yes, I do, but I don't limit everything in that, right? It is not the only way. I think the main point that inshallah we'll talk more about is to communicate, to believe that the way of communication with the Imam alayhi salam is open. Either because personally, I think it's like different ways that are available. Sometimes you like journaling, do that. In general, I'm saying writing to the Imam. Again, I personally have done all of these methods and all worked, right? I don't know, should I say it now here or not? But anyway, when I wanted to get married, I wrote. I didn't put it in water. I want to see if that works, and I still have that. And my wife has not seen it, by the way. So you write it to the Imam, or you talk to the Imam alayhi salam. Imam alayhi salam is Ainullah, is the eyes of God on earth, is Wajhullah, is the face of God on earth, is Udhunuhul Wa'iyah, the ear of God. So that means that itself is a broader topic. Talk to the Imam, communicate the way that you feel comfortable doing it with others. You want to write a letter to your friends? Sometimes you do that. Do that to the Imam. You want to talk to? Talk to. You want to even do that in your heart? Do that. The whole point is to be connected to the Imam alayhi salam. Huh? Arida in Arabic means like, she's the expert on Arida, right? Arida, like a letter.
Well, why use the word for why?
Huh?
Why use the word for why? Someone as arid, it's wide.
No. إلى معرضه.
Oh.
معرضه. يصل إلى معرضه. Yes. I like the Arabic discussion, by the way, as you all know. There are something easier than that, which takes great courage, maybe, to do. Yes, a question can arise as of. So, we have finished this chapter. No, she's fine. The question is, a question can arise as of why not ask Allah directly, which is a very valid question. I think that's important we spend some time on this, see what our thoughts here, because that's an immediate question that arise after that why you should ask Imam. Can't you ask Allah directly? Yes. We mentioned it in Imam Mahdi class, not here.
Oh, okay. I have a question. I love like to get your, I guess, questions and experiences faster. Like it's through it's like.
So I repeat what she said. Yes. She said, I add, one answer is that because they are closer to Allah, they can ask Allah and get what you want, basically, right? Easier, faster, because they're closer. Any other thought?
Doesn't Allah say in the Quran, "Id'uni astajib lakum"? It's like,
Yes.
if you just do dua, I will. It's not like if I answer. No, I will answer. So why put a mediary in between us?
Well, there's another ayah says فَلِلَّهِ أَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا.
Quran says Allah has great names, so call upon him by his great name. And I add to what Imam Mahdi, I think he was talking. As-salamu ala ismillah ar-radhi. Ahlul Bayt and Awliyaullah, Ahlul Bayt, they are the names of God, not the only ones, but Asma'ullah. Asma, that's another topic in Tawheed, are signs pointing, right? Directing to something, right? When I say Abdullah Taymur, that name directs me to him, right? The name is not him, rather pointer. So, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. Call upon Allah by his names, by his great names, by his beautiful names. Some of the names are worthy names, names of God, you like, right? Some of the names are the takwini names, like Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. They are also signs, they're also pointers. Any other thought or comment? I say one thing and we move on. Please pay attention. This is beside what you said, which is also what you said is correct. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the attention of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the attention of us to his people, basically, to prophets, to the Imams alayhimus salam. What does that mean? Thank you. The fact that we go to the prophet, this is what Allah wants from us. In Quran, we have the beautiful, beautiful ayah that shuts the mouth of all Wahhabis in general. I had this argument with one in Medina. Quran says, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ إِذْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ جَاءُوكَ. There is a point in Ja'uk. So the translation is those people like Muslims, others, everyone, when they sinned, when they wronged themselves, when they committed sin, and they came to you, Ja'uk. فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا, they asked Allah for forgiveness, and وَاسْتَغْفَرَ لَهُمُ الرَّسُولُ, and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked for forgiveness for them, لَوَجَدُوا اللَّهِ. Lam is lam ta'akid. Then indeed, definitely guaranteed, they will find forgiveness, right? They will find Allah forgiving. So, and as when we go to Medina, inshallah, Allah gives us the tawfiq, all of us, we go in the ziyarah of Prophet, we refer to this ayah. Oh Prophet, why I came here to Medina? To act upon what the ayah said. I came literally to you. And I mean, one more thing, again, this is also a big discussion in Imamah usually. When the sons of Ya'qub, they committed their sin, when they asked Ya'qub to pray for them, Ya'qub didn't say, oh, Allah is close, go ask him, go talk to him. He said, no, سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ. So a prophet of God approved this act, that I will pray for you, which according to our narration, that was the eve of Friday. So wait, Thursday night, I will pray for you, because that's the night that there's a more chance that the du'as will be accepted, which is actually the topic of our next topic. So with that, I think we can move on. I'm happy we are making good progress while having good discussions. So was it clear? There are two different answers to the same question. One is what Sister Yusra said. They are close, they are closer. Allah will respond to them. But there's another very, very, very important, which usually is overlooked. The fact that we go to them is what Allah wants. Allah wants his representative to be honored, to be known, to be recognized, right? Imagine, I'll just say this analogy because, again, this is an important topic. If I love you, for example, I love your kids as well. I respect them. If I say, no, I don't care about your kids, don't worry about them, right? I just love you. I respect you. Tell me whatever you want. I would say, okay, thank you, but pay attention to them. I love to see that my honored one are recognized. They are respected. So us going to, and Allah has given them also. It's not only they pray. Allah has given the authority to Prophet and to the Imams and gave the keys in their hand. This is yours. I gave it to you, O Prophet. Everything is in your hand. You want to give, you want to prevent. That's up to you. Yes, of course. None can intercede except by his permission. And Allah has given permission to some people and has not given permission to some others. Good points. Very good discussion. I like the fact that we a little bit branch out, touch upon some other topics, which I think is beneficial. So with that, let's recite the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We move to the part 3 of the book of Mikyal, which in this book, Sahib Mikyal, rahmatullah alayh, the title, as you saw, is Some of the Rights and Favors of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam upon us, which later he argues, at least because of those, it's on us to pray for him, to ask Allah for his protection, for other things for him. So in the Kitab of Mikyal, Sahib Mikyal mentions 9 rights of Imam alayhi salam, which we will read the titles, but we will discuss 4 of them only. Okay. So what are the 9? Anyone has, let me ask now, anyone has pre-read, skim through, flip the pages a little bit? Okay, that's fine. I don't remember, it's fine. What I read, that's what we want to hear. Anyone else read and remembers? The 9 rights that he mentions. Okay, so I will read the 9s, and then we will go to some brief discussion as time allows for these 4. The right of existence. So لولاك لما خلقت الأفلاك, or لو خلت الأرض صاعة بغير حجة لصاخت بأهلها. Us being an existing individual is because of the bounty that Allah bestowed upon us because of Imam alayhi salam and Imam of each time. Second one, continuity of existence in dunya. Again, I read only, I don't want to explain. Third one, the right of being a relative of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The fourth and fifth are the right of mediator of blessings, and also not only mediator, rather the giver of bounty. As I said, this is in their hand. So the mercies that they themselves, by permission of God, have has given us. 6, the right of father on the child. So we will talk that in more details. Again, remember the main title, some of the rights of Imam on us. And Sahib Mikyal argues that one of those rights that we should recognize and remember is all the ahadith that we have about the right of father on his child. Next one, the right of master on the, slave is not a good word, servant, right? Master has rights on the servant. That's someone who takes care of all the worldly matters of a servant, right? Food, housing, everything. So there are rights for him. The right of teacher on learner, right? Alim ala al-muta'allim. So we have a lot of ahadith that usually are being discussed in the book of Adab al-Muta'allimin, one of the first books that they study in Hawza. I will mention that about the reading chapter for the next week. I'm sorry, I just saw the question. The teacher has rights because of the fact that he or she spent time and knowledge and effort giving us their knowledge. We have a famous hadith from Amir al-Mu'minin, which is what? Man allamani harfan, faqad sayyarani abda. That was so eloquent. No, same thing. Oh, so eloquent. Faqad sayyarani abda. That's it. Beautiful. Anyway, who teaches me a word, something, definitely he has made me his servant. Again, because of that right that he has. And the last one, the right of the godly guardian, imam, on others, on people. So with that, let's have some discussions about these 4. Before that, any comments, any question? Let me answer this question, but I will mention it in the chat as well. Chapter 6 would be, or part 6 would be the reading assignment for next week. We will jump ahead to the volume 2. There is a reason we do that, which is about the times and the conditions or states that is recommended for dua. That's also a very enlightening topic in general, regardless of the connection to the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So chapter or part 6 of the Mikyal, which is in the beginning of volume 2 in the English file that I have shared. Other question, do you know the explanation to the hadith you just recited from Imam Mu'minin alayhi salam? If you want to share your thought on that, we can, when we get to the right of teacher on the learner, please feel free to share so we can discuss that more. Okay. Any other comments or question? No. All right. So let's briefly talk about these 4 as a reminder for us. Please remember the context. So we are going to discuss some of the rights that necessitate us praying and supplicating for the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Any of these rights are enough for us to remember to do the prayer at all time. Yet we have a lot of them, which Sahib Mikyal has gathered 9 of them, but that's not the entire story. As we will see in other parts and chapters, he has a beautiful way of gathering some of the other characteristics of the Imam alayhi salam. Right of mediator of blessing and also the giver of blessing. Simple and important. If someone gives you something, what do you do? What does our aql, intellect, tells us to do when someone gives us a ni'mah, something good, something that we like, a gift from it? He went to a trip, gives you a gift, souvenir, or I don't know, birthday gift, or random gifts, which are the best ones. Random gifts, no birthday, no trip, nothing. I just felt like it. I want to give that even flower from my yard or from my neighbor's yard to you as a gift. That itself has a value, which in return, what do we feel like we should do?
Thank them.
Thank them, right? That's a basic, I would say the first aql instruction, the first thing that our intellect tells us. And this is very common. The reason I say basic, some of the other orders of aql maybe not available for everyone because their light of their aql is not that big. But the bare minimum that everyone who has a minimal amount of aql recognizes that thanking them. There are some other points in the chat. Give them something better back, or at least equal, as Quran says. وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا أَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ مِثْلَهَا. But that's even higher level. When someone give you a gift, give something similar or even better. But even before that, thanking. So thanking is something we should do, and we should remember that. Thank you. Now she gave me something, even it came with some interruption, but I should say thank you. If we remember that things that we are eating, we are drinking, we have, is either from the Imam alayhi salam or him as a mediator of the blessings, our life will be different. Something just came to my mind. I want to mention that. There is a beautiful story of Imam Hussein alayhi salam that, yes, it was Imam Hussein, if I'm not mistaken. So he had a garden and a worker, they were working there, right? Servants working there. And Imam will give them food, spread, like, okay, this is lunchtime, let's eat. The servant, after they finished, he said, Allahumma barak li mawlaya al-Hussein. Oh Allah, I am not a rude servant. I know that this spread that I'm sitting on, the food that I ate, is because of my master Hussein. So I don't want to just walk off and say, okay, well, good food. I pray for him and I say, oh Allah, give blessing, give barakah to my master Imam Hussein. Right? So Imam in response said, you prayed for me, you prayed for blessing for me, you are free, and also this garden is yours, take it. Just because you prayed for me, for the barakah. So I want to mention this, which I learned from one of our scholars who inspired by this story. Let's do this. Again, this class, session, discussion group, whatever, as we said from day one, is not academic dumping information. Rather, we want to have some activity or action from it. Let's do this, if not doing it already. Let's recognize the fact that the blessings that we have is because of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And we have at least 2 verses in Quran implying this fact, which I give the hint, maybe research, and next week you can bring it. The story of Abu Hanifa and Imam Sadiq, which Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also, after he had food, said, "Oh Allah, thank you, and oh Prophet, thank you. The food that we ate is because of Allah and because of you, Prophet." And Abu Hanifa got angry, said, "Oh, you're mushrik. How come this is from Prophet?" And Imam gave him 2 ayah of Quran that says, سوف يغنيهم الله من فضله ورسوله. رسوله فاعل مرفوع, not رسوله. Prophet gave you this. He is the mediator. Anyway, same thing about Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Back to our discussion. Let's remember, let's make a vow, pact to do it. Every food that we do at home, after that, we pray for our master, like that servant of Imam Hussein. Allahumma barik li Mawlaya al-Mahdi. Allahumma barik li Mawlaya al-Hujjah. Say it in English, Arabic, Turkish, Farsi, whatever. Again, that doesn't matter. Remember, this is important, that I remember where this is coming from. Oh Allah, give your blessing before even thanking your parent, before thanking your wife for that food that they prepared. First, we thank Allah, we pray for the master of our time, and then we thank others that they helped preparing that food. So that's in the nutshell what Sahib Mikyal do that. So I will send a note in the group for everyone. Let's do that, and you will see the barakah that comes to your life. Practice it for a month, for a year, even not for the sake of practice. This is not cool, but I would say that. But again, inspired by that story of Imam Hussein and his servant. So we have a couple of notes in the chat. Let me read them before we go to the next one, and we have 6-7 minutes left. When the imams does come, how do we know what the imams want from us? Is communication going to be clear regarding what? In a short answer, I would say yes. The communication would be very clear. That we have the ahadith that the governors of the imam throughout the world, the governor of New York in the time of Imam Mahdi, that would be cool. We have the hadith that says they see the instructions and all guidance and orders by looking at their palm. That's cool, right? I always say that that hadith increases my respect to our scholars like Allame Majlisi, like Sheikh Saduq, that they were not like some of us. Oh, this hadith doesn't make sense. They look at their palm. How can they see this? Let me put it away. No, they said there is something in it. I don't understand. I have to capture and narrate. And in 2023, every little kid, that's the basic thing, that you can look at your palm and have the whole world in your hand, right? So there are some answers to that. Crawling towards snow. Yes. Okay. Let's move on. I want to finish this chapter hopefully today. And then next week we'll start with chapter 6. Next one, rights of father on child. Do research on the rights of father and mother on child, which we have in one Risalatul Huquq, and a lot of ahadith about the importance of parents, both father and mother. They have different taste, I would say. But how does that right apply to Imam alayhi salam? Why Sahib Mikyal says, oh, remember, Imam Mahdi has the right of father on child. Why? Any guess, any thought, any reading?
Because he is awla, he has more authority over us than even ourselves.
Okay, that would be godly guardian on others, the third one.
Assalamu alaikum. Can I say something?
Yes, salamun alaikum wa rahmatullah. Of course.
Like, you know, the Prophet and Imam Ali alayhi salam, the Prophet used to say, like, we are the fathers of the nation. That is one thing. And the second is the hadith of Imam Raza alayhi salam, which he says, Ali Imamu, I think Walidur Shafiq and Anisur Rafiq. And it's a long hadith. So according to that, he's like a father.
Ahsant. Very good, very good. So, first of all, we should recognize we have a biological father, right? and we have the spiritual father, that our physical life depends on biological father. The spiritual life, which is greater and more important, is by our, I call the spiritual father. Prophet even didn't use that. أنا وعلي أبوا هذه الأمة. And I and Ali, we are two fathers of this ummah, as sister mentioned. And another beautiful hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam, which, if I recall correctly, Sheikh Kulaini brings it to the specific chapter, Nadiru min Jami' Fada'il al-Imam, something like that. He narrates the whole hadith. Part of that is what our sister mentioned. Al-Imam al-Walid al-Shafiq. Imam is like a kind father. وَالْأُمُّ الْبَرَّةِ بِالْوَلَدِ الصَّغِيرِ, if I'm not mistaken. And like a mother to the little child. In my word, before they get annoying, right? The love of moms are unique, right? So we having those in mind, remembering Imam as our father, as someone who cares about us more than our parents, more than our close friends, comforting friend. In that same hadith, Imam continues. So these are what oblige us to remember him for prayer and be thoughtful of him. Again, last week I played a short video clip by Sayyid Mahdi Mudarrisi about what is a dua, what does that mean? So I thought that's related to this conversation, so that's why I brought it in. So any other comment on this? We can move on. The guardian, the godly guardian on others. So that's what Brother Faisal mentioned. An-nabiyyu awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim. So Prophet has more authority on us than us ourselves. So if we recognize that, it brings some rights that, again, as a result, necessitate us to remember, to pray, to be connected to that individual. You see, like nine different things Sahib Mikyal has gathered, which each of them is enough for us to at all time remember. Sometimes people say, oh, why do you recite dua faraj in all your qunut of salah? I said, okay, I'm lazy. That's the only opportunity that I have. At least 5 times a day, I recite a dua for health and protection of the imams. And sometimes then this is a personal thing, I have like 1 class or 2. So okay, now it's 7, beginning and end. Still nothing. You shouldn't think, oh, that's too much. No, it's nothing compared to the rights and the necessity of the dua for the Imam alayhi salam. So again, I refer everyone to the book itself to read more details. Last, not least, is the right of teacher on learner. Again, what are the rights of a teacher on learner? Go read and research. Risalat al-Huquq of Imam Sajjad is a great resource, and we have a lot of books on that. So how does that apply to the Imam? That's the topic of us here. So الراسخون في العلم. Imagine all the knowledge that we have are from the Imams alayhimus salam, that they spread the knowledge. They taught us basically with patience, with all of things that they went through. And Imam Mahdi alayhi salam as well. You may not know or may not recognize how many, even in the short period of Ghaibat al-Sughra, I think those that they were here in the Ramadan, there was a mention of the tawqi'at, the letters that the Imam alayhi salam gave to the ambassadors, and they brought it to the community. Like a lot of knowledge that we have. And also I want to mention something at the end. It's not only the knowledge that we get from the ahadith directly. As we said repeatedly, the gate of communication is open. So if I ask Imam alayhi salam, I'm reading Quran, enlighten my brain, help me understand, that's the teacher. I don't see him, but he is actively involved in my edification, in helping me learn, in opening gates. Again, I'm not talking about this specific gathering that we have, but talk to different people that they happen to go to a class or a session. There are some beautiful stories how they ended up there. So it's not me, it's not new, it's not Sheikh or other Sayyid who encouraged us to get together, do this. No, Imam alayhi salam, without being physically present, guide and lead the community, help us learn, put facility together. I'm lazy, I was sleeping, blah, blah, blah. Imam helped me just get here, sit and be taught. So who gets the credit? Imam salawatullah alayhi. What is the right of teacher? Is to pray for him, to be respectful, to remember him and all. So with that, you have the book story you told us first. Yes, exactly. That's just simple. Why it went to duplicate. So I think with that, we can adjourn, stop here with the prayer for the Imam alayhi salam. And yeah, inshallah, next week we go on the part 6 of Mikyal, the beginning of PDF, volume 2, highlighted times and situations for prayer and how to pray for Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Any pressing question? We are 2 minutes away, so let me not open the mic for questions now. Let's recite the dua and close our session. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم اجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.